Klaasen is someone who I know can score 22 of one ball, macha. He's one guy who can do it.
TV umpire to director, we have a player review. Can we rock and roll, please?
Hello, and welcome to episode 160 of the Bits and Pieces podcast. I'm your host, Vikas. We are recording on the 2nd of March 2025, just post the India-New Zealand game at Dubai. Both the teams having already sealed their semi-final berths. The semi lineup is now set with India versus Australia at Dubai on Tuesday and New Zealand versus South Africa at Lahore on Wednesday. This is basically a repeat of the 2015 ODI World Cup semi lineup. But before we go there, let me introduce our lovely panel for the evening. Like I said, this is episode 160 of the podcast. The number 160 is etched in memories of many a cricket fan because 160 is the speed at which the fastest ball in cricket has been bowled. Yes, this is Nick Knight facing Shoaib Akhtar at the 2003 World Cup. And what better way to celebrate at 160 with four panelists who have a very deep connection to Shoaib. Joining us today in honoring Shoaib on episode 160 on the eve of a New Zealand loss is a beaming Tony Sebastian. Say hi, Tony.
Beaming, but not bowling beamers because, come on, let's not even give a free hit to New Zealand. Yes. Thank you. Very cool.
So, prose doesn't do justice to the talents of this man, but poetry should. So, here it goes. We've got Tony Sebastian, Tony. I just don't think you'll understand. He shoots from his hip, gets caught at third slip. We've got Tony. We've got Tony. Sebastian, Tony. I just don't think you'll understand. He used to simplify some stuff, but now has his head up Nito's butt. We've got Tony.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you. We have another Shoaib fan in the house. Welcome, Sandy ji.
Hi.
Like Shoaib, Sandy ji is an actual cricketer who plies his trade in Mumbai's premier domestic league, which is the Lodha Cup. Sandy ji is also a massive fan of Rahul Dravid, and therefore the most conflicting memory of his childhood is Shoaib yorking Rahul Dravid at the Asian Test Championship match at Eden Gardens. A match Shoaib genuinely played in. Don't let Nitin Sundar tell you otherwise. But Sandy ji's sheer grit, dedication and determination to being an active cricketer has shaped his game just like his two idols. He now bowls like Rahul Dravid and bats like Shoaib Akhtar. Say hi, Sandy ji.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for the intro, Viku.
Welcome, Sandy ji.
Viku, I think at this point in time, while Dinesh Karthik claims Glenn Phillips is the greatest fielder in our game right now, I feel like Sandy ji has the claim to be the best all-rounder in our game right now because he bowled the 20th over of an important match and they were 9 down needing 2 runs to win or something, much like Gujarat against Kerala in the Ranji Trophy. And Sandy ji basically backed up and fielded that ball and in one quick motion released it and ensured that a run out happened, right? So for our viewers, you will see how this played out. Your audio listeners can just imagine how Sandy ji had just one stump to aim at and he hit it. So I feel like Sandy ji greater than Glenn Phillips, which is not saying much because Glenn Phillips is a New Zealander, but we'll get to that.
But does Sandy ji do 800 push-ups?
Yeah, I do 8 only.
That's 792 less than Glenn Phillips, but we'll take that.
Yeah.
Okay, rounding up the panel today is our last Shoaib fan in the house, Bodhi. Bodhi is someone who Bits and Pieces and Shoaib Akhtar fans look at and ask, Bencho tu kon? Bodhi is a journalist by education. Bodhi is a journalist by education, but works for a tech company in Mobi. As against the other chutia from InMobi, PGK, who is a techie by education, but works for a journalist company. Bodhi loves Test cricket, but is here today to talk about an ODI Champions Trophy. As a journalist, is a massive fan of free speech and democracy, but lives in Singapore. And is an actual editor, but won't be editing this podcast. So please welcome the man of many contradictions, the techie, the journalist, the cricket nerd, Bodhi.
Thank you for the lovely intro.
Welcome, Bodhi.
Thank you.
And I am Viku, a lover of Surya Kumar Yadav and Jaideep Pehlawat. Basically, the Sky Bloke and the Patal Lok. In true Philip Kotler style, I have 2 points of parity and 1 point of differentiation with Sky. The points of parity are that I am someone whose appearance on this pod is as erratic as Sky in red ball cricket and off late in white ball cricket. The only thing more absent than me on this pod is Sky's footwork against Stark. The point of difference, though, is that my last 3 appearances on this pod have been during ICC tournaments. That's right. I turn up only for ICC tournaments, as against Sky, who turns up only for bilaterals.
Wow,
That's
dude,
it. That's the show. That's
चार amazing. 4 बज गए लेकिन parity अभी बाकी है. This is like the kind of time we are recording. Well done. Okay. Yeah.
So that's it. That's the show. That's been my time. You've been a wonderful audience. Thank you. See you later.
Viku stand-up is done.
Yeah, but then the individual digits of episode 160 add up to 7, and if Thala can go on at
Yes.
43,
Yes.
we can go on for a tad bit longer. All right, let's jump right into it. Tony, let's discuss today's game. Are you still in the small room? Please share your thoughts.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know why today's game was significant at all. Right?
Because Vidarbha won. That was.
All right, shots fired. We have Sandy Ji from Nagpur representing Vidarbha and Tony Ji from Kochi representing Kerala.
Yeah.
Vidarbha have just beaten Kerala in the finals of the Ranji Trophy.
You know what? This is one of those underappreciated podcasts that very, very niche listeners will come back to and say, why wasn't it more popular when it started out? Why did it take me 183 episodes to, listen to it? Like, what happened in the early episodes, right? And I'm just realizing that people are recently discovering Aiden Apple Tom. Whereas I feel like within the first 10 episodes of Bits and Pieces, we had Sidin Vadakut on this podcast, who had explained not just the travails of single South Indian men, but also how it is important to be unconventionally named to have a correlation to success in cricket. So he had long ago predicted, I think when Aiden Apple Tom was 17 years old or something, as opposed to 19 now, that he is destined for great things, as it has borne out to be the case, right?
Ranji is going on right now. And the Ranji is fairly interesting because you have a lot of teams battling it out and many people are coming back in form. But there is a video that just popped up, and it is about this wonderfully named player. His name is Eden Apple Tom. And it's spelled EdenAppleTom. That's his name. And he has a video where he's explaining why he's called Eden Apple Tom. Or rather, trying to explain why he does not know why his name is called Eden Apple Tom. And Eden is pronounced Eden. So he's from Kerala. He's a Malayali. And the first thing that struck me when I saw this really strange name was this really brilliant and fairly underrated post that Sirin had written several years back. And he had this beautiful hypothesis back then that in order to be a successful cricketer in India, you cannot have a common name. Your name has to be unusual. Sirin, I'm going to throw it to you and say, can you just tell us a little bit more about it?
So there was a period, I think between 2008 and maybe for 3 or 4 years, I used to write a column for Cricket Info. So they called me up and said, look, how much do you know cricket? I said, virtually nothing. So they're like, excellent. Can you write a column for us? Because that'd be substantially better than the other columnists we already have. And I just spent, and the thing is, I used to consume a lot of cricket, but not very mindfully. And then I said, okay, I need to really consume this thing, watch a lot of cricket, but watch it in the least reverential way possible, right? And then you start noticing patterns and stuff. For example, the overwriting of cricket articles. Every long form cricket article must be put into a cannon and shot into the sun, right? I mean, if you actually sit down and read it. Similarly, the other thing I noticed was how Indian cricketers, and not just Indian cricketers, if you generally look at cricketers, for some bizarre reason, how many Prashants have played for India? You know what I mean? How many Anil Kumar? No, they'll take Anil, but then add a Kumble. And do you know any other Kumbles? I don't know any other Kumbles. Similarly, there were 2 Tendulkars, right? There was Sachin Tendulkar and there's the lady who used to come in the advertisements. There's another Tendulkar. And I would just like, man, I just do not know anybody else who has the surnames that the vast majority of Indian international cricketers had. And my theory remains is that if your name is like, you know, A. Srinivasan, you probably become an administrator. You know what I mean? There is no chance that you're going to become an international cricketer for India. So Eden, Apple, Tom, moment of silence for his childhood. He is bang on. I have a feeling. The one person who really surprised me is Rohit Sharma. Because as soon as Rohit Sharma came on the scene, I was like, there is no way somebody called Rohit Sharma can make it. Some might argue there is still no way that somebody called Rohit Sharma will make it in international cricket. But I've been truly surprised at his success. There has to be. I mean, look at Salil Ankola. How many other Ankolas do you guys know? Hands up. Do you know other Ankola? There is no other Ankola. Atul Bedade. How many bloody other Bedades are there? There are no other Bedades, right? How many Gavaskars? How many other Gavaskars are there who did not come from the original Gavaskar? Gavaskar, whatever, right?
The only person who like broke the mold was Sanjay Manjrekar, which is where you also sort of put your hands up.
Eden Apple Tom. I have theories for why his name is Eden Apple Tom. Have bright future, extremely bright future. Now, if he can play a little bit of good cricket, I think he'll do well.
He just needs to play a little bit of good cricket. It's like that's like he's already got the door in. Like it's like someone like Washington Sundar, for example. Like not a day goes by when you don't think about what he's up to.
Exactly. What are you? Are you a tourism campaign? Are you a human being? What are you, right? I mean, yeah, man. And the thing is, if you're a bowler, right? What is Eden? What is his Eden Apple Tom? Is he like batsman? Is he bowler? Is he all rounder?
I believe he's a bowler.
He's a bowler. He's a
seamer. Yeah, he's a seamer.
Right? Can you imagine you're a cricketer, right? And you're a batsman. You're standing there, and the announcer says, "Okay, left arm around medium, Pavali, and whatever medium is Eden Apple," and you're like, "I cannot do this. I just cannot deal." So I think it's a strategic move. I mean, if India's smart, our Moneyball should be to just pick Indians who have weird names.
If nothing else, you'll have their name, right? I was thinking about Napoleon Einstein today.
Oof.
Yeah.
The guy didn't do much
That's
at
just
senior
too much
level.
on the nose. Like that's when you
yeah.
overachieve.
He's
the
named to make it big.
Actually, it's Eden Apple Tom, right?
Damn, we have been mispronouncing his name and making fun of him for like 10 minutes.
No,
But okay,
that's fine. Like I said just before we started recording, in Kerala I'm known as Tony, but like I realized like 18 years after I was born that I was pronouncing my name incorrectly and it's supposed to be Tony. So I go by both depending on where I am. So Eden Apple Tom, as he's called in Kerala, had a very strange explanation for his name. But two things. One, he's 16 years old. Two, he's a Malayali, so like there's lots of trauma there. But apparently what he was trying to say was that his granddad actually named his dad Apple Tom Philip, right? So, and he was like a professional volleyball player for Kerala. And so he was named Apple. So he thought, what is like a cool add-on to that? How can I make this joke longer? So he named his son Eden Apple or Eden Apple, the forbidden fruit. But the connect to all of this is basically Eden Apple Tom, like some of you guys, grew up in Sharjah. And he was there till his 7th grade or something, till he came back to Kerala and then started playing. So, yeah, there you go. Malayali, Sharjah, cricket, and weird names.
Which brings us back to this episode. Well done.
So, like, yeah, I think like Kerala made the Ranji finals is in itself like a big headline that it lost to some like Vidarbha or like one of those states which doesn't care about its population while farmers are dying is not important. But the headline here is that Kerala made it. Here also Sanju Samson not selected. What a glorious Ranji final, which is also a farce because like why are we calling it a test match format when only the first innings matters? Right, like it is exactly like your intro, Viku, where you said like you finish the intro and you're like, thank you, let's go home. Like that's all that matters.
But see the journey we have traversed, no? From advocating for 2 innings ODIs, we are now advocating for 2 innings test matches to decide Ranji finals.
Correct. Beautiful. No, but okay, bring it back to today's match, right? Like the beautiful thing is that today's match had absolutely no significance. Okay, one is that this is New Zealand, a team that only Indians care about because they're such a shit team. Okay, I'll tell you how much of a shit sports team they are. Is that I want to say either in the 1990s or the noughties. Viku, this is for you.
Yeah.
Do you know who was the sports person from New Zealand who earned the most amount of dollars?
90s.
Oh, I know this.
Who?
Tell,
Who?
tell, tell.
Is the
Martin
caddy,
Crow.
Tiger Woods caddy.
Oh. Oh, wow.
Exactly.
Really?
Exactly. So yeah, so this guy is called Steve Williams. He was the caddy of Tiger Woods. And I think his deal was that he'll earn 10% of Tiger Woods' earnings or whatever. And like before Tiger Woods found more holes than 18 and like it got outed, he was actually a pretty competent golf player, right? So it meant that Steve Williams, the caddy, not being a rugby player, not being a cricketer, not even being a golfer, just being a caddy, was the sports person from New Zealand who earned the most. So this is a country like that doesn't even take itself seriously, right? Like absolutely nothing to it, except like Indians occasionally once in 4 years or once in 2 years. My God, New Zealand is important. No, they're not. Absolutely not. Like this is an unserious cricket team. This is an unserious country.
This is a gentle plea to the New Zealand tourism department. Both Sandy ji
Yes.
and I went
Yes.
for our honeymoons to New Zealand. We have absolutely nothing against New Zealand.
Well,
We
Yes.
love the country.
Yes.
like I told you, I ordered Hakka noodles for dinner. It doesn't mean anything, right? Like this is a team that it is only made significant because for some reason India find strange ways to lose to it. But thankfully, no.
Yeah, like why does New Zealand exist as a country is the first question. Yes, I know, like, what does it signify? Like, what does it stand for? They don't have a, foreign policy, and there is a clause in the Australian Constitution that New Zealand is free to join it as the, whatever state of Australia any point of time they wish to. Just like Trump is telling Canada they can be the first 51st state. New Zealand should seriously consider it to take up that option.
Statutory warning: no Kiwis were harmed during the recording of this
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
Guys, can we can we be serious for once?
I don't think so.
Tony, I want to ask you: was Pakistan versus Bangladesh match more important than today's match?
100%.
Oh, beautiful.
Pakistan versus Bangladesh, the match that didn't happen, was more important than this match which happened. You know what the funniest thing is? The other two semi-finalists were already in Dubai for absolutely no reason.
But I feel bad for Pakistan. They traveled a lot, played matches in Pakistan, played matches in Dubai, and then went back to Pakistan without getting qualified. So feel bad for them. They're hosting the tournament. But there is a team that has beaten them in being the worst team. That is the Bazball England. We have an amazing team that I think Butler has resigned from captaincy, but I think when will McCallum resign? Another New Zealander that Tony loves. So
No,
I
but
thought,
McCallum just became the coach of the white ball teams, right?
yeah, and he hasn't done shit.
After doing a stellar job as the red ball coach. Champions Trophy, it was supposed to be a very big occasion for Pakistan, but with 30 minutes of rain, that match getting cancelled. I was just thinking, like, would that it happened in any of the Indian venues nowadays? Maybe in the older days it might have happened, but I don't know. Were they ready? Were they ready in terms of cricketing or in terms of infra? Uh, Maybe it would have been better. The whole tournament would have been held in UAE instead. No complaints about India's advantage and all of that.
Here's the funny thing, and I want to ask Viku this question, right? I feel like he's the most knowledgeable quizzer amongst all of us, even though there is a Malu and a Bong in the room. The guy from Bihar is apparently the best quizzer. Is that yeah, like, is it supposed to rain in Pakistan and Bahrain at this moment in time? And also, like, while we are like dissing like super soppers and whatever doesn't exist in terms of like restarting match after a rain in Pakistan and like Middle East. Sri Lanka have like got it down pat, right? Like they're not a better economy, so they're not an economical reason. Like what the fuck is happening? Like who is holding the voodoo doll against Pakistan to make sure like there is this some S. Shankar like what is happening? Like 5D chess? Like have they consulted R. Ashwin? What is going?
No, I remember. I think this is 6th standard geography. So, over the northern plains, which includes part of Pakistan and India, there might be untimely rainfall during the months of Jan and Feb, and it's caused by a phenomenon called as Western disturbances. I'm not kidding. It's called Western disturbances, right?
George Bush.
Yeah. So Western disturbances disrupting Champions Trophy, ensuring Pakistan don't go through. I think this is all the Kudrat ka nizam that Sakib Bhai spoke of. But yeah, I agree with Sandy ji. It's unfortunate for Pakistan, and they're hosting an ICC tournament for the first time since 1996. So really unfortunate they couldn't make it. But I think even the most loyal of Pak fans, and shout out to Zainab, would agree that this wasn't the team that would make it to the semis at least. Just forget about going to the finals and lifting the trophy. Enough about Pakistan.
But wasn't Pakistan the same World Cup, 1992 World Cup as well? Nobody gave them any bow. But
Yeah.
they are always like that when they win stuff as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I
in,
totally
in
agree.
this whole spiel that you put, Vico, you spoke about the Pakistan cricket team for roughly 5 seconds, which was the phrase Pakistan cricket team. And you're like, yeah, let's move on. I feel like that's a fair assessment of their tournament.
That's for how long they competed in the tournament.
I think like one of the key points that you mentioned is that this is going to be the exact 2015 semi-final line, right? Like
Yeah.
India against Australia and New Zealand against South
New
Africa.
Zealand versus
And
South
like
Africa.
I think one key detail came to light this week. One of the forgotten heroes of New Zealand from 2015, and like one of the unlikely, but like also like they are in spirit closest to this podcast because they are full of bits and pieces players, including Glenn Phillips, who can feel but doesn't know how to hold a bat or like how to hold gloves or like how to bowl, but like because he can do all of it, like basically like ADHD plus plus, right? Like he can do everything but like nothing well, except like when a ball is flung in your direction randomly, you can dive at it, which is exactly me, by the way. But anyway, the point being that there was this guy called Grant Elliott who I think
Yeah.
smashed Dale Steyn for a six to
Yeah.
make sure that New Zealand qualified for that World Cup
Who,
final.
by the way, was born in South Africa. Yeah.
Who did he edge out? Did he edge out Daryl Mitchell? Like
No.
he edged out some other all rounder from New Zealand. There are like so many. Like everyone's a New Zealand all rounder.
Roger Toos.
If ever you're faced in a situation where you're in a interview for a new job and they're like, explain this gap in your resume. And if you had said that I was an all-rounder for New Zealand, I feel like it would have been an acceptable gap in the resume because like nobody remembers, right? Like so, Grant Elliott had edged out someone else, but like he also existed at some point. He smashed Dale Steyn. And he was asked like, what was going through your mind when Dale Steyn was bowling their last over? And he basically said, my sister was getting married on the World Cup final day in 2015. And what was going through my mind was, she said, look, I've picked this date. Will it be okay with you? And it's like, look, I'm a reserve all rounder with New Zealand, which have no chance to make it to the World Cup final. I think we are okay. And as Dale Steyn is walking in to bowl this ball to him, which if he smashes for a six, New Zealand win. This was going through his mind. And he did smash it for a six. So yeah, like unserious country, insignificant cricketing team. The important thing is ultimately this is boiled down to another important ICC tournament between Australia, India, and South Africa, which is as it should be. And like there is a statistical outlier, which is New Zealand, which is okay. As long as it's not England, I think we are all okay. That.
So Sandy G, is Matt Henry the new Glenn McGrath for India? He turns up regardless of the format, T20, ODIs, test matches. He sees India, he starts licking his lips, comes out, takes a fifer, What's happening?
Yeah, but McGrath used to win matches for Australia, so not a fair compare.
It's a gentle reminder to our readers, listeners, that New Zealand just thrashed India 3-0 in a test series.
Let's get in the match today, right? Like,
Yeah.
obviously, New Zealand won the toss. And what were your feelings? Viku, you tell us, like, where did you watch the match? What did you go through? Yeah.
I was shopping and I caught some glimpses of the first innings. I saw it when the Iyer and Aksar partnership was going on. So initial feelings were of probably deja vu. Matt Henry running through the Indian top order. This has happened fairly recently and also in the 2019 World Cup. So he's someone who bowls with a wobble seam. Rohit has always found going difficult against him. And Gill, for some reason, is my astute observation that over the last 2-3 months has been fairly suspect against a full in-swinging ball. Remember Boland getting him out in the Test series versus Australia down under. So
Yeah.
he got Gill out, and then Bro got out, and then, like you described very vividly, Tony, Kohli got out to a cut shot to Glenn Phillips, and we were about what 40 for 3, and then that rebuilding happened between Aksar and Shreyas Iyer. If I just look back at the innings that the two of them played, it was fairly similar to the innings that Rizwan and South Shakil played in the game against India. Just the fact that Iyer and probably Aksar are slightly more dynamic against spin, and therefore if you just compare the run rates that they had versus spin versus pace, the run rate against spin was slightly higher. It was more than 5 at some point in time. So they were rotating the strike, they were hitting the odd boundaries. And by the time Aksar got out, I think India would have fairly decent space. So at 150 odd for 4 when KL walked out, I think it was a job well done by both of them. One point which I want to discuss with all of you, and I thought this was one nemesis, it was one monkey which Iyer got off his back, but then after a good start, he again got out to a short ball. Sandy ji, as the expert in the room, when it comes to facing short balls, what should Iyer do next time when
As our
six-foot
short
seven-
king, as Hank would describe you.
Yeah, I think he's been playing the short ball pretty well most of the times. He got out today, but I mean against in some of the earlier matches also he was being bowled short and he was able to manage it and play it to his strength. So I don't think he has to do anything. He played a good innings in this tournament. I think he's doing well
Bodhi,
after
since
being
you work for a
kicked out.
tech company, I'll go into the technique of all of that. Like Vamu mentioned on the WhatsApp group, is playing a short ball more difficult on a slow and sluggish pitch versus, say, like playing it on a fast track, on an even pace track?
For Shreyas Iyer, it looks like it's difficult in both the surfaces. Shreyas Iyer has this habit of building up an innings and then at the crucial moment getting out. Like today was a golden opportunity, like to seal 100 easily. The way he was batting, there was no need to accelerate at that point. I think 280 was looking very much possible at that point. And in that over, he had already hit a boundary, and still he went for the shot, like just to prove a point, or I don't know what. Shreyas Iyer and KL Rahul, like they are there in our team, but when have they actually played a match-winning innings?
This match, da, Iyer played a match.
Like maybe like 3 years ago.
He is the highest scorer.
But it was not a match-winning like.
Do you know
Uh,
he averages? Do you know he averages 95 against New Zealand?
Yeah, but that's what. On paper, it all looks good. But
Uh,
when a certain crucial moment will come, I feel they will again let us down.
No. I think I for one rate Shreyas Iyer fairly high as an ODI player. I think he has all the right gears. He can knock
Yeah.
the ball around. He can take the odd single. He also hits the big ones, and when
Yeah.
he does hit the ball, he hits it like for a fair
Yeah.
mid distance. Right. So yeah.
I think our issue is like we smudge all three formats together, right? Like very realistically, as much as we diss Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, rightly so, like they both and Gill, all three of them, are like and Shreyas and KL Rahul. They're all
Everyone,
like
everyone.
kings of the ODI. Like this Indian team, if you were to like look at all the star players, were made for the ODI format, right? Like Sandy
Yeah,
I
it's
think,
like made in a lab to play ODI cricket.
yeah, like this batting order, if you were like to, like this is a batting order into which Yashasvi Jaiswal doesn't have a hope or a prayer of getting in, right? Like that is how good this ODI batting lineup is. So yeah, I mean, I feel like we are overreaching at some point.
I'm saying Shreyas played a good innings, I think, against Pakistan also. I don't remember because that was like 15 months ago that we had a match against
Yeah.
Pakistan and then we had a break. So
You don't remember Sandy Ji because you were at the Gabba when the match was going on at MCG.
No, I think like the fair contrast and comparison, Viku, I think you like briefly alluded to it, which our friend ND pointed out on the group, Nishit, was that India lost 13 of the last 14 tosses or something.
Yeah.
And I feel like this would have overlapped in some way with the World Cup where we practically won, I want to say 10 out of 11 matches. We went to South Africa, then we like, beat England at home.
Yeah.
I think this is our team is made for the ODI format. Like losing 13 out of 14. What is the number there? What is the stat there? Is
I
not
think we might have
insignificant,
lost
right?
14 in a row, no? I think till the last
Yeah.
match it was 13 in a row. I think Rohit also lost today as well.
And this is a bigger statistical anomaly than like playing ODIs in Dubai when the tournament is actually in Pakistan or something like that. Yeah.
but does Ben Duckett know that they have not won? Leave India, they have not won any single match in this tournament. They have been the worst
We're
team.
discussing moral victories.
Yeah.
Moral victories.
Hey, somebody put out this stat, no, might have been Costats, that for the last week, just after the first game in that group, the 5 results in that group were England lost, washed out, England lost, washed out, England lost.
Even Pakistan and Bangladesh have 1 point because of washout, but England have 0.
Yeah, correct.
Bodhi, why should the title of the autobiography of Michael Vaughan be In These Conditions? So every time England loses, he puts out a statement and appends it with In These Conditions.
No, Michael Vaughan is the perfect epitome of how what England is going through. They think they are a very good team. They are again in the process of revolutionizing the how cricket should be played with Bazball and all. But the results and what is coming out of their mouth is not aligning. Playing very good cricket is just that we keep on losing. Is the situation England find themselves in. Maybe Bazball will last till this end of this year. Hopefully, after that they will move on. But till then, I don't know. They need a complete rethink because their bowlers are fragile. Their bowlers have lost their zing. Both Mark Wood and Jofra Archer, I think, is past their best. They need a new batch. Batting wise, also, other than Joe Root in this format or in the red ball, Harry Brooks was supposed to be one of the best batter of the world. Like, I don't know how they can make such statements without stepping foot outside of England, playing some series.
No, Harry Brook had issues of fog.
Fog.
And for that.
Harry Brook must stay back in India, practice a lot in the fog in this.
Yeah. He's been selected by Delhi, by the way.
Yeah. He should play for Delhi. He should play for Delhi Ranji matches, a few of them, and then go back. I don't know who will be the next captain. Who will be the captain? Is there any like other than going back to Joe Root?
So there was a discussion that was going on, and Nasir Hussain brought in names which I was like, what is wrong with him? He said, do we go to Sam Billings or some random 2 names he said who
Ollie
have been
Pope was supposed to
captain?
be the next captain. Where is Ollie Pope nowadays?
But
He
I
was
want to
captain, no? When he give it up or something.
once,
Yeah.
Once.
when Stokes wasn't available. So
Yeah.
So
Test
yeah,
match.
one question, but so India today were 46 for 3. I think Afghanistan against their match against England were 30 for 3 or 40, similar. And they rebuilt their entire innings.
Yes.
Do you think England will do that? Because in their mind, they are playing entertaining cricket, and every time they justify their poor performance by saying that this is what we are here to do, we are here to entertain. Can they not bat like in a rebuilding phase, and rather than going all out and thinking that we'll start attacking and get our way, get out or get runs?
I,
That is
I
the
have
issue, I
one.
think.
I have one question. Isn't winning entertaining?
No, it's not. Very
they
boring.
they they if I'm correct, they are like seventh in ODI ranking, if I'm not wrong.
No, so the important point here is they played the full 2023 World Cup in India and got absolutely humiliated, right? Like it's not like, I don't know, they lost 7 out of 9 or one of those
Yeah,
things, right?
yeah.
Like it's pretty embarrassing. Like it's not even like this is a new phenomenon for them. Actually, like credit where credit's due. They revolutionized ODI cricket after '96 Sri Lanka and all that. 2015 to 2019 probably. Like they deserve to win the World Cup, right? Like, and it was either India or England, and like England won, and I'm happy that it's not New Zealand. But like they did well. Like where has this gone off the rails? Like what is the technical analysis of this beyond the Schadenfreude of us saying that like obviously England deserve to lose? Like why have they like completely lost the plot?
Because Joe Root used to play, I'm just giving an example. Joe Root used to play his natural game in test match. Suddenly now he has started hitting reverse scoops and reverse shots just to be part of this Bazball. I think he was doing pretty well. He is doing pretty well, but not everyone is suited for this kind of role. And the fact that they had Jack Crawley and others trying to fill these roles that they have been given, and then whenever they were failing, they were not replacing them. They were saying, "We'll back them. We'll back them." So I think the
So
main
is it a
problem
batting
is
problem or a bowling problem or an
it is
all
a
rounder
it
problem?
is a Baz problem. It is McCallum problem. That
Huh.
according to me,
They
according to
they
me,
need
yeah,
Michael Vaughan as the coach.
McCallum's thought process is not aligning with their team selection, or not aligning with what they have capabilities of doing, and this is what is affecting them a lot. They might keep saying that we'll win someday, but that day is not going to come soon.
No, no. So I'm
Yeah,
just going
Vikram.
through the batting lineup that England had for the 2019 World Cup, and this is specifically the final. So you just look at some of the names which are there on this list. So you had Jason Roy and Johnny Bairstow at the top, right? Very, very good players, and they were playing that World Cup. They were coming in with a rich vein of form. Then you had Joe Root, you had Morgan, you had Stokes and Butler. So it's a fairly experienced, fairly stable. These are all players who've played together for 30, 40 ODIs. The current English team, I think on paper it's a very, very good side. Just that there's a bit of inexperience. While in terms of age, all the players are about 30, but they haven't really played together for that long. So you have Salt and Duckett, while both of them are fairly good players, particularly Salt, who's a very good T20 player. I think still finding his feet in ODI cricket. Duckett as well, fairly good test record, but again, new to ODI cricket. Their number three has been an issue for some time. They tried Bethel for some time. Unfortunately, he was injured. And then they threw in Jimmy Smith, their wicketkeeper, who
Yeah.
again is making a transition from test matches to ODI cricket. So I think ODIs is a format. Ben Stokes has been fairly vocal about it. Is a format they have not prioritized since the 2019 World Cup, and the results are there for everyone to see. Their performance across the last three ICC editions is a fair reflection of how they have kind of regressed as a side ever since Morgan, stood down from the captaincy. The side that won the 22 World Cup, which was captained by Butler, I think it was still a side which had the elements of the team that Morgan carried through for those 4 5 years. So it still had those remnants, and therefore they could go through. Ever since, there's been transitions which haven't been managed well, and the other thing is, their bowling lineup is fairly suspect. While some of the names are still there, you still have Jofra Archer and Rashid from the 2019 team, but Archer is a shadow of the bowler that he was at his peak before the injuries hit him in 2019 and 20. Rashid is the only good bowler that they have, and the others, while they have raw pace in the form of Wood and Archer, but on these surfaces, the faster you are is essentially the further you go, right? So I remember them in the 2019 World Cup. They had the likes of Liam Plunkett, who could, use those cutters, etc., on slightly slower wickets to fairly good use. I don't think they have the bowling right now to bowl on these surfaces. Teams that have bowlers who bowl those cutters on these subcontinental wickets are typically teams that do well. Remember Australia tripping us in the 2019 finals. I don't remember Pat Cummins bowling a single seamer ball in his spell. All his bowling was essentially cutters into the wicket. The batsman just couldn't
2019
hit.
final,
2023.
2023.
I'm already becoming
Yeah.
delusional remembering that.
But do you
Nobody
guys
speak
feel
about
that Bazball is actually working?
No, test matches, I think they've been a fairly successful side, barring a few subcontinental tours. I think they won
They
twice
lost
in
to
New
West
Zealand,
Indies as well,
Who are you
right?
talking about?
recently, like three,
England?
four.
They lost to West
England,
Indies
right?
as well.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
they said Ben Stokes, I believe, said like we didn't understand the format, so like we didn't know that we will lose. Some shitty game. Okay, once
they
again.
did.
So just to clarify, I think like Bass has taken over as ODI coach like 11 months ago,
Yeah.
and England have lost 10 out of 11, right? Like something like that is their record. But also Bass is the guy who like shot to prominence because this is the interesting dichotomy, right? Like, and this has been set up by our ghost podcast panelist Nitin Sundar, who basically spoke about how 2015 New Zealand made it to the final. Not his words, my translation of what he meant. They made it to the final only because they played all the matches that they were supposed to
Yeah.
play before the final in New Zealand, right?
No,
And
actually,
that is why.
Tony, on that, no, on that, 2015 World Cup was fairly unique because both Australia and New Zealand were co-hosts, and the only game that both of these teams lost was the game they played outside of their home country. So
Correct.
Australia lost
Yeah.
a league match to New Zealand, and New Zealand lost the finals at MCG. Right?
So Bass basically shot to prominence only because he won everything in New Zealand, right? Like, and like with England, he's lost 10 out of 11 ODIs, right? Like so much so that Ben Duckett, I think, was saying before this tournament started, it doesn't matter if we lose 3-0 to India, as long as we beat them in the final here. That is all that matters. Except like he
We
forgot that
reached the
you have to
semis.
first make it to the.
Their aim was to reach the semis, not win.
Okay.
and
yeah,
and
correct.
and they continued their 3-0 against all other sides.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Is Bass a home ground bully or like a tactical genius or like what is it? What is it that England are missing here? Like what's
That's
going
what
on?
I'm asking.
Like obviously, clearly, like we all say, England has the best cricket analysis podcast with Michael Atherton and Nasser Hussain talking our ears till they bleed about what it is that England needs to change. Then why the fuck are they not changing it? What's going on? Right? Like on the
No,
contrary, India has us like dissing Ashna, even though he's not even in the squad. What's up? What's up with Bass in England?
So I am tempted to give a needle in banana answer, but I'll probably give a fair, serious answer here. I think Bazball will do well in conditions where England has the bowling to take 20 wickets, and therefore their results in England and in New Zealand have been fairly good because the kind of bowlers they have. I think the conditions suit them to take 20 wickets.
And
In
the kind
every
of
other
opposition
condition,
they have, which is New Zealand.
And the size of the grounds.
Yeah, correct.
We need the needle in banana reason.
the needle in banana answer is that Bazball sucks donkey balls. That's the needle in banana answer.
No, one crucial player they are really missing is Moeen Ali. Moeen Ali used to give them such a good
Who
balance.
just announced his retirement, no?
Yeah, so like he
From
used to
CSK
be
also.
from CSK as well. Yeah. Because Morgan and Moeen Ali used to direct the entire team on the field, in the dressing room, and Moeen Ali was a pretty good player of spin as well as a very useful bowler, especially in white ball. They need to think because Liam Livingstone is no Moeen Ali, and they need to learn how to play spin. Like not all countries will be wickets like New Zealand and England. They have to step out and they need to rethink their entire lineup. If your bowler is very good, but they are injured 7 months out of the year, then what's the point? Give other players a chance who can consistently deliver for you.
Circling back to the game, Tony, Varun Chakravarthy, one Varun who does perform well, took a 5-4. Has this increased or reduced the selection headache for the semis? Would you pick him over Harshit or Arshdeep?
Harshit.
In the week that Trump and JD Vance laid the smackdown on Zelensky, apparently, I just want to touch upon this thing that's been going around, which is absolute nonsense. That Jay Shah is some tactical genius, or India is some political mastermind who have engineered this whole tournament to make sure it is favorable. We know for a fact that they don't know their ass from their elbow, right? Like if this was the case, without doing anything, we would have won the 2023 World Cup final, right? Like India has been smashing it to all parts in all ICC tournaments without it. In 2019 in England, right? Like till we faced New Zealand on the second day of the ODI semi-final, we were absolute fucking kings, right? So what is this absolute bullshit about Chanakya and Chanaka, which is what we call cow dung in Malayalam, and all of this bullshit that's going around? Let's first get this bull out of the stable and say this is nothing to do with any tactical nous or analysis that India has. It is just that as the biggest dick in the room, and we will continue to be in cricket, Nitin Sundar alluded to, that America is in world politics, is that we don't give a shit about anyone else, right? We won't play Pakistan, or we won't play in Pakistan just because we want to flex our political muscle. There is absolutely no tactical nous or muscle or whatever. Otherwise, they would have said, okay, we will play in, I don't know, man, Helsinki, Finland, because those conditions suit us. No, we play in Dubai, where none of this shit matters, and our pace bowling attack has gone in minus Bumrah, and it's not like Arshdeep is not a worthy replacement, or Shami with a shoulder hit is bad or anything like that. It is just that India have the tactical riches at this point in time, and we can deploy multiple teams, right? With or without a forced slash slyly put in concussion substitute. So all of this is bullshit, right? This to use a French Hindi phrase, Randi Rona, about schedules and grounds and all of this is absolute bullshit, right? If there was any justice in the world, India would have won the 2023 World Cup without Jay Shah and Narendra Modi. The only reason they lost is probably because of both of them. And so they are a completely rounded side, right? Wherever they completely rounded side as typified by the captain Rohit Sharma, and they can play in any venue, any occasion, and beat any team. This is the practical reality, right? And if there was a 3-match shootout for the final, it is more likely that you're putting your money on India than even Australia, right? Or South Africa for that matter, right? Half the time we are spending our time on dissing Temba Bavuma for being whatever, category captain or whatever, and then the other time we are shaking in our boots against New Zealand, of whom the caddy of Tiger Woods is the #1 paid sportsman. This cognitive dissonance, I can't understand that India has a fucking good team. It doesn't need a Jay Shah. He's an impediment. So is the disposition that is there, right? So India finds itself in a position where Sharda Ugra has to write that before the India-Pakistan match in Ahmedabad, Indian players actually pushed back against wearing a orange/saffron colored jersey and said, no, this makes some of our players uncomfortable. We won't wear it, which doesn't get reported anywhere else. So let's give players credit where the credit is due. Let's give Gautam Gambhir credit where credit is due. Is that India is a fucking phenomenal team, right? And only in a statistical anomaly is any other team in such a format beating India, right? And the statistical anomaly happens to be a knockout format, which is the only reason why we are worried that New Zealand might beat India, right? Realistically, New Zealand is going to play either of Australia or South Africa and going to be beaten so badly so badly that they'll go back and rear sheep, right? Like this is their fate and this is their destiny. Let's be, this is the reality. Now, given this reality, like we
Yeah,
are questioning, like, is India like good, bad, ugly, whatever, right? Like without Bumrah, without any of our star players, managing
No,
to do
they
well,
are
we'll continue to well.
they are questioning whether India has an advantage being in one location also. So a lot of
Yeah,
teams.
man. Like, okay, this again, like, just to reiterate what Nitin said on the group, is that like in 2023, right? Like we had the tournament in India, and India is the only team I think that played all of their 9 matches in different venues,
Yeah.
and the only time
Different
they
venues, yeah.
repeated venues was Wankhede for the semi-final and Ahmedabad for the final, because like they played it somewhere in the group stage, right? Like we played, I think the closest match that we had any kind of goatee in our mouth was England in Lucknow, where like for like about 3 overs, like, you know, things went slightly awry. But this is the team, dude. Like it doesn't matter. Like it really doesn't matter what you give them. Today also they were like 40 odd for three, and we were like, yeah, we've seen the script against New Zealand. We'll screw up. Then Shreyas Iyer came to the party. Hardik Pandya came to party. We won by 44 runs, scoring 249. It is a big fucking deal. Okay, like come on, like have some faith in your players to say that it doesn't matter how you engineer or doctor conditions. We've moved past BTech and MBBS guys. Like come on, like we are winning this tournament. We are gonna beat Australia and then South Africa or whatever the order is. There is no more New Zealand coming in because they're a shit team.
The Indian current ODI team is quite like the New Zealand rugby team when I was growing up in the 1990s, 2000, early 2000. They were so much better than all the other teams. They used to like smash everybody, but in the World Cup, they will always screw up somehow or the other. In the last match, some South Africa will beat them or England will beat them. At the crucial point, something will go wrong. Like they were like the West
Yeah.
Indies of the early ODI days of rugby, by far the best team.
Yeah.
But just at the crucial moment, they used to screw up always.
No, this is great because Bodhi, do you know who is the New Zealand of cricket? Is South Africa, and like we'll face them in the final. And like if the only match that India didn't deserve to win was the 2024 T20 World Cup final against South Africa, right? Like Viku's most glorious moment.
Long off, long off.
Off.
I still jerk off to long off, man. Okay, so looking ahead to the semis, South Africa versus New Zealand. Tony, I know who you are touting to win that one. Sandy, what about you?
South Africa, no doubt.
South Africa.
I want Tony to invite me to his party.
I
so.
love how Tony has converted all of us into rabid New Zealand haters.
Dude, okay, tell me something. Why is Kane Williamson still a cricketer? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, please, would he make it to the third team of the Indian 11?
Dude, he played well.
Yeah.
Joy Bhattacharya, who's been there on this podcast, like had a observation I think last week saying how India Pakistan is actually a mismatch. And he's talking about if you were to pick 11 between India and Pakistan 11s,
Yeah.
like there probably wouldn't even be one Pakistan player who makes it to the Indian 11, right? Like which New Zealander do you think is going to replace anyone in the Indian 11? Definitely not Kane Williams. Come on, man. Like what is Kane? Like today he did some kicks and you're excited about it. This is like worse than like Hotstar and Star Sports being excited by Virat Kohli. Come on, man. And like the best moment of today's match was that apparently Glenn Phillips took a great catch. Like there is no doubt. Objectively phenomenal catch. It is the kind of catch I would put on my Tinder bio if I was like a 25-year-old man wanting to like have action. I talk about it on first dates for years together and get laid. But that aside, the way the commentators, including Ian Smith, were describing it was because look at the stunned reaction on Kohli's face. Bro, that stunned reaction on Kohli's face is his stunned reaction for every dismissal he's had for the last 6 years. What is happening? It doesn't matter whether it's LBW, whether it's bold, whether it's caught at slip, whether it's caught at backward point, caught at long leg. It doesn't matter whether it's caught at long on, long off by Surya Kumar Yadav. And that is the same expression, bro. How are you going on this? Like, what barometer are you following here? That was literally the only highlight. Like, otherwise, come on, man. The last time Matt Henry or Henry was a relevant name was in physics when like it was a unit for frequency or some shit like that. Or like when some guy called Sidney Poitier adopted the pen name O. Henry. Otherwise, who the fuck names their kid Henry, man? Like, what are you? A fucking Sunday comic panel with three panels?
What about
Come on,
what
are
about
we
the
talking
WWE giant Mark Henry?
At least he was sexual chocolate and he won a real Olympic medal. And like Matt Henry, man. Come on, please. Come on. He's not even gonna. Okay, which IPL team will Matt Henry play for? You tell me this.
He's already played IPL, da. What are you saying? I don't remember the side he played for.
Punjab.
Yeah, I think he's played for an IPL. No, I think he's played. Might be. Bodhi, New Zealand versus South Africa. Who's going through? After all this, if Bodhi says New Zealand.
I think New Zealand has a good chance. Because South Africa, you never know. In knockout matches, you never know. And will Klaasen play? Is he fit? That's going to be a huge factor because New Zealand spinners with court.
And where is this match taking place? It's
Lahore.
Lahore.
Yeah.
And there's no rain.
And if it rains, then history says that South Africa is out. So, anyways, but
No. Are there reserve days?
and on semis,
Nobody knows.
even if there is reserve day, history is in New Zealand's favor. Reserve days are for New Zealand.
No, but Klaasen is someone who I know can score 22 off one ball, macha.
Yeah.
He's one guy who can do it.
If Klaasen plays, South Africa has some chance. Otherwise, it's 50-50,
Okay.
more like 60-40 towards New Zealand.
No, I think New Zealand will beat South Africa fairly easily because I think they have the spin bowlers for both the tracks, for both Dubai as well as Lahore. Pace on that wicket has been, slightly here and there, and therefore I think they have the right kind of spinners, and I think they also have the right batting depth, which will probably hold them in good stead. So I'm banking on New Zealand to go through to the finals, and I think between India and Australia, I think India should at least on paper seems like the stronger side and should go through. So I'm hoping for a repeat of an India New Zealand game again at Dubai. I think it's going to be a repeat of today's match. New Zealand's going to bat first and score 250.
Yeah.
India will be 40 for 2 in the chase, and I think Kohli and Williamson will kind of swap their roles.
And what about Shreyas Iyer? Will he score 78 and Bodhi will still say it's not a match-winning innings?
Yeah. When has Shreyas Iyer rescued an Indian innings when they were in trouble? Like,
Dude, semi-finals today, 3 World Cup.
No, today was
2023 World Cup.
Full 2023 World Cup, man. Like what
Entire
is
World Cup.
Yeah,
I think he had this record.
when KL and
He had
Shreyas
this
were
record.
made. Yeah.
Yeah.
Consecutive 50s or something like that. Yeah.
And most runs by number 4 or below in any ODI World Cup.
Yeah.
But
What
just
Bodhi's probably saying is the format doesn't matter.
No, India were in trouble then. India were in trouble.
India was not in trouble.
This is like, Bodhi, do you know this thing called footprints in the sand?
Yeah.
Story which says, Lord, I noticed that whenever I was during happy times, I always saw your footprints by my side. Except when I was in real trouble, I never saw your footprints. There was only one set of footprints on the sand. And like, why did you forsake me? And the Lord replies that My child, those were the times when you saw one set of footprints is because I was carrying you. This is literally Shreyas Iyer, man, and like KL Rahul in the 2023 World Cup. You're like, no, we were never in trouble. Of course, we were never in trouble because those guys batted on their skins, man. What do you say?
Do you share the same perspective about Ishan Kishan as well? I might have a conspiracy theory as to why these two guys went out.
But despite winning the last IPL with Gautam Gambhir, why was then Gautam Gambhir iffy about Shreyas Iyer in the lineup when the Champions Trophy competition
Oh,
came?
Bodhi is going from the line of logic that Gautam Gambhir is a very logical person. Right? Like, he's
It
still
must
not
know something.
complaining about 97 versus
Bodhi.
91 in the World Cup.
Dude, Gautam Gambhir was a BJP MP from East Delhi. That's like the worst of all the worlds.
Afghanistan was England. Yeah, Afghanistan versus England and
Yeah.
Piers Morgan. How does Afghanistan do it?
Afghanistan.
Like, come on. Like, if you had to talk about any underdogs, it's not New Zealand. Fuck New Zealand. Afghanistan. Come on, guys. Like, this is a team that we can get behind.
Afghanistan comes up with such performances every major tournament. I mean, they do have a lot of caliber, unlike England players. They do have a lot of caliber in their team, and and many of them. I mean, you look at Rashid, you look at Noor. They have a good spin lineup. They have a good, they have a good opening and middle order. So they have a balanced side. I think they are in the next few years they will be a constant in knockouts of any tournament because they are building a great team and they are working towards it. I
They have
think
a,
I love watching
they
them
have a
play.
lot of
Yeah,
street smart cricketers, and
yeah.
they have an infinite supply of spin bowlers somehow. And now their batting is also picking up. Now they need some solid pacers, and yeah, they can be the new New Zealand.
No, I
Uh,
quite like this guy.
Ton-
I like this Fazal Farooqi guy. I think very, very good.
he's yeah, yeah. And he
I love
actually
how you're saying that they have many street smart cricketers when they don't even have streets. Right? Like, Piers Morgan, motherfucker. His
Oh, I thought
tweet.
I thought Tony is going to get angry because Bodhi compared them to New Zealand.
Dude, I don't understand. Like, what is this fascination that we have for New Zealand, right? Like, first of all, I mean, I understand this is the point.
Dude, you have the fascination. We don't have any
No,
fascination.
I don't. No, no, I don't have any fascination because literally, you guys, Srinath Sripath included, are cheering on some random white men who couldn't make it anywhere else in the white world and have to move to this place which is not even their own. It belongs to birds and Maoris and whatnot, and are like basically displacing an indigenous population and like
That's
trying
same for
to
Australia,
like,
by the way.
no, that's fine. Like, they at least like have made something out of that country. It's not like New Zealand where like people are like Chris Harris or like whoever else has to go back and be a bus driver or a postman, right? Like, you've done nothing. Like, if your
Chris
country is
Kanes. That was Chris Kanes.
no, he fixed matches. This was like putting posts into like whatever, right? Like whatever. So like,
Sorry.
I don't understand his fascination, right? Like, you could literally move anywhere else in the world. The only reason you're staying in New Zealand is because you can't cut it anywhere else in the world. So like, so much fascination for white men is not needed. Like, don't compare Afghanistan and New Zealand. Afghanistan is a very real struggle where like you have mortal fear like whether you'll be alive tomorrow or not because you are realistically fighting against the incumbents to stay in this thing, right? Like, so Afghanistan, real underdogs. New Zealand, your version of like, I don't know, man, like some like
I
crossbred, highly made lap dog which you can like pet all day. Like, no, sorry, I'm sorry, no.
I have started feeling that Afghanistan are no more underdogs, right? I mean, we should
Why?
because they have been performing well against good teams.
Yeah, but like against all odds, no? Come on, it's not like
England is
any
not a
other
good
country.
side.
England
No?
is the new underdog.
They're a very good side. I just think they need an out and out fast bowler. They have two very good fast bowlers, but I think none of them bowls above 140. So one out and out fast bowler is required, and I believe they need some solidity up top. I think if Gurbaz gets his form back, I think they'll be the team to beat. They just need some solidity. I think Rahmat Shah is a very good batter. Gurba is a fairly good batter. They have a lot of players who can tong the ball around. I just believe to win ODI games, you need players who have all the gas. So
Yeah.
one or two more solid batsmen in the top five, and I think they'll be a very, very good side.
But
They are a fabulous T20 side, by the way.
but my fear is, will they be able to make a successful transition from this Rashid Khan and Nabi and Gulbuddin?
Rashid is 21, da.
19, he's 19.
It's like on the point of Afghanistan, right? Like there is an interesting counter narrative, which I know it is part of the earlier rant, where people said the other rant was that, okay, do you remember Sri Lanka '96 when I think it was West Indies in Australia who refused to play Sri Lanka and then they just forfeited points, right? Like right now, I think Australia, England, and others are like refusing to like tour Afghanistan because like Taliban and like women don't get to play, etc., etc. But they're like very well playing them in like whatever formats they're asked to, right? Like including the last World Cup, including the previous T20 World Cup, and right now including the Champions Trophy. So like, I feel like the hypocrisy is like writ large, much more on the Western world than again, no, like tactical nows India, where they're like, yeah, whenever it is convenient to us, we'll like take up the moral cudgels, right? Like we'll also like fire Peter Lalor because he mentioned Palestine and shit like that. So I think like in some senses it's come to a place where it's become really really stupid, right? Like Afghanistan players are playing against so many odds, and like there is no one literally to support them except probably India in that sense, because like they play their sort of domestic matches in India as well, right? And we've been supporting them for quite a while, no? Because like it's, I'm guessing like last
Yeah, yeah.
couple of decades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they
We
play
make them
their
play in
domestic
Noida,
matches
the
in Noida, yeah.
in Noida. That's the
bad.
support we are giving. This has been episode 160 of the Bits and Pieces podcast. The semis, the first match is India versus Australia. Yeah, this is on Tuesday. And on Wednesday, we have South Africa taking on New Zealand. The all important finals are there on Sunday, and we'll be there right with you just post the finals. For the time being, this is Vikas, Bodhi, Sandy, and Tony signing off. See you guys. Bye.
Bye bye.
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 TV umpire to director, we have a player review. Can we rock and roll, please?